Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I did not see that coming. Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads, everybody. My microphone stand broke, so I have to hold it. Ugly viewing experience, I'd imagine, just like the Eagles. And what the hell just happened in Indianapolis? Because I have no words to describe that mess. I thought offensively they were piss poor. I don't know what the game plan was from Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni. I'm seeing heavy 12 personnel. I'm seeing heavy 13 personnel in the first half. Not heavy 13 as if they did it a billion times. My point is, where's A.J. Brown on the field? You're already down Dallas Goedert. Why are some of these tight ends being flown into the field? And it almost felt like they were trying to catch Jeff Saturday and the Colts off guard by putting in some of these sets. But I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't think Jalen Hurts saw the field very well to the point where he's handing the ball off to the running back when he probably shouldn't have. It was a mess. Jonathan Gannon and the defense was sensational. That was ridiculous what Sue did, what Joseph did, just getting plucked off the street and having such a big impact. And this is why I kind of laughed when there were a lot of individuals out there claiming that Washington put so much film available to the public to see how teams can run. I'm sorry, but I hate to break it to you. This league, the National Football League, where people study film more than they spend time with their loved ones, they didn't need Ron Rivera and the Commanders to show you any weaknesses in the Eagles. Trust me, there's been plenty. You go back to Houston, you go back to Detroit. There were plenty of moments where teams saw a hole in the Eagles defense. It wasn't the Commanders. And to Gannon's credit, after that first drive, which sucked because there were some third down conversions and you wondered if it would look the same way again, from that point on, they were pretty much shut down. The 3 points that the Colts got at the end of the first half, that was because your special teams blow. You get a false start before the punt, you punt the football, and after that, you allow a big run to happen where it's actually a nice return, and that sets them up for an opportunity to put more points on the board. So what do you know? Your special teams hurt you. Your offensive game plan was brutal. Some things just didn't make sense. So when they were down 7-0, they kicked the 3-point field goal, which I didn't hate necessarily, but it was 4th and 4. Maybe in other scenarios when you're feeling yourself a bit, you go for it and keep your offense on the field. I don't have an issue with getting points. I really don't. Where the logic is flawed for me is when it was 4th and 10 and they went for it, when it reeked like desperation. I don't know how 4th and 4 you kick it. 4th and 10 you think, let me put my offense out there and hope something can happen. And by the way, Jalen Hurts doesn't even let a bomb go downfield, which I thought would make the most sense because you never know what can happen. Instead, you do literally nothing with it. I thought the logic was flawed there. How about when Hurts, with the strip that happens, when Yannick Ngakoue is going up against Miles Sanders, there needs to be an internal clock. I could have heard it wrong. Maybe the broadcast didn't say this, but I'm pretty damn sure I heard the broadcast mention that Miles Sanders needs to hold his block more. On Yannick? In what world was that ever going to be something where you'd have time? You're not going to have time. It's just for maybe a half of a second. You're begging and asking for maybe 0.2 more seconds to get the football out of your hands. You got to recognize that that's the possible matchup, and you got to do a better job there. But the ball ends up falling out of his hands there, and the Colts make a play. But the Eagles defense were holding the field goals nonstop. And I know the Colts are kicking themselves in the face because they're thinking about the one field goal that they missed. But that's what you do, to the Eagles' credit. If you're going to force them to kick 1 billion field goals, you're not going to bat 1,000. You're not going to get them all. It's just not going to happen. So because of the way their defense stayed strong, they stayed at a 3rd and short. Way better circumstances. 3rd and long, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 8, getting off the field, forcing some punts. It was great, and the 2 newcomers were awesome. And I was pretty upset when Josiah Scott got beat. It was that 31-yard play, super late in the game. You thought, there it is. And I'm pretty sure right before that, Darius Slay couldn't make the play on a third down, so you're aggravated. But Hassan Reddick, when needed, Brandon Graham, when needed, timely. And look, they forced a fumble on JT, on Jonathan Taylor, and Taylor mowed you down early on. After that first drive, he was non-existent. I'm so proud of the way Jalen Hurts stepped up in that fourth quarter, used his legs. Before the Quez Watkins touchdown, he had that awesome 20-plus yard scramble. The 4th and 2, where he was keeping it himself. When the sea parted and he ran it in for the touchdown, that's big ball stuff. That's I could put everything that I did poorly away. The team needs me right now. We're going to go win a damn football game. You had a short week because you played on Monday night. You're going on the road. You're down double digits in the fourth quarter. We got this. So there's plenty of things to analyze. And look, with Dallas Goedert being gone, yes, we thought the offense would be impacted by that. There's a difference between being impacted and then going from I'm destroying teams to 3 points. When they had 3 points throughout a long period of time, that's totally unacceptable. I know Dallas Goedert is great, and he's one of the best tight ends in football. I don't even know if he gets enough national attention for how strong he is when you relate him to some of these other tight ends in the league. With that said, you can't let it kill you to the level that it killed you. There's no excuses for that. You had so many penalties. You went through the sequence of a Kelsey penalty, a Landon Dickerson penalty. Who else was after that? Was it Tyree Jackson? I know the tight ends were getting penalties. You had a 1st and 35. And the weird part about that is, back to Jalen Hurts' struggles in the first half, they actually got to a position where they could have kicked a field goal, but he took a sack on 3rd down, which kicked them out of field goal territory. Not that I'm in love with kicking field goals. I don't think you win that way. Quite frankly, you don't. But after being 1st and 35, you could salvage a drive by picking up 3 points. Especially at that time. It was crazy, though. It really was. The 1st and 35. Kelsey with the high snap. I don't get why they were living and dying with Boston Scott on those runs in the fourth quarter. Boston Scott? That's what we're going up to the dish with? You're telling me you're either striking out or hitting a home run with Boston Scott? I don't understand. You could even debate the way they use that final 2-minute warning by running a play beforehand. I don't know. There's a lot there. A.J. Brown not being on the field. At the same time, A.J. Brown fumbling the football as soon as the defense got you some energy and got you some momentum by stripping Jonathan Taylor when he was trying to earn more yards and he was keeping his feet moving. But Marcus Epps and the crew, everybody's in there trying to throw punches at the football. You get the ball back and A.J. Brown does that. We all love A.J. Brown. But yo, dude, get your head out of your ass. It's unacceptable. I also don't get why the usage rate was what it was at times. Big spots in the game. Big play. He's on the bench. Where's Devontae? Nowhere to be found. You're going with different packages. I think Sirianni and Steichen have a lot of question marks. While Jonathan Gannon answered. That defense was sure cleaned up. And Taylor was not even a factor. And that's why, I thought there was such a heavy reaction to it. And I know you'll be seeing Derrick Henry. And I know, in theory, the Green Bay Packers can do a way better job when they commit to a player like Aaron Jones and not just beg Aaron Rodgers to beat you. Because they're a whole bunch of a mess at this point, right? Derrick Henry's a different specimen. But Jonathan Taylor was one of the best players in all of football? Not just a damn good player. One of the best players, if not the most explosive offensive weapon last season. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs. So the fear level of heading into this game, I thought, while we acknowledge what happened against Washington, we acknowledged what happened against Houston, we acknowledged what the Lions did at one point with their back against Jonathan Gannon. The way that people were viewing it was, you have no chance of having anything in the run game stopping him. Well, it's like, you can't win the football game because of Jonathan Taylor. That was sort of it. Come on now. They didn't make the playoffs when he was playing better last season than he was this year. I didn't expect the offense, though, of the Eagles to be this bad. I'm stunned a bit. Sometimes I expect some brutal X and O stuff with the defensive coordinator. I thought that Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen were better than this. I didn't think that they could slip up to the level where A.J. Brown's not even on the field. And I don't know what the snap count is going to be by the end of it. I'm sure it's not going to feel as exaggerated as it did. Sometimes you do that and you go, well, this guy, that guy. You look at the snap counts and it's not as crazy as you think. So I don't know. But I do know timely downs, we could be having this debate. I do know that. Oh, man. That 4th and 2 going downhill was great. Quez Watkins rebounding after the fumble he had last game was awesome for him to find the end zone. TJ Edwards was out there making some heavy tackles, setting this team up for good positions. Well, against Washington, it was 1st and 2nd down that set themselves up for 3rd and short. You got to have them play behind the sticks because there's not enough playmakers and their quarterback isn't good enough to beat you. They're just not. Matt Ryan with the ball in his hands. Give me that any day of the week. I think guys will get home. Here's Reddick getting home. Here's BG getting home. Trust me, if you had to dare Matt Ryan to go down the field by himself, but the way that happens is TJ Edwards gets a nice play out in the gets a running back. Maybe out in the flat area. Here he is, bang, makes a big tackle. And this is funny, right? I don't know why it's so hard for people to stay engaged in the run game when it works. But I have some notes here when I was actually watching the game, right? Colts, 3rd and 6 conversion. 3rd and 1, keeper for a first. Taylor gets some big runs. 3rd and goal touchdown run. All right? So the Eagles, tight end, holding penalty on a first down conversion. That would have been no A.J. Brown on the field on a 3rd and 12, but Devontae Smith probably still could have caught the football over the middle. So the Colts, it's 2nd and 14 after T.J. Edwards' tackle for loss. 3rd and 1 after Pittman gets a gain. Incomplete. Josiah Scott forces a punt. 3 straight passes for the Colts. I'm kind of laughing. It's like you saw what you were capable of doing, right? You witnessed that first drive. And sometimes coaches just outthink themselves. They outsmart themselves. I think Sirianni thought, hey, let's get cute with our tight end usage. They won't expect it because Dallas Goedert's injured, so they're probably anticipating us to go wide out and have our guys spread out with our wide outs. I think they overthink. Oh, they probably think we're going to run the ball a little bit more. Let's throw in some passes here. 3 straight passes, and you're punting the football again or punting the football for the first time after you just had a lot of success by doing the other thing. Isn't it just funny how this game works sometimes? Ay. There's so many conflicting feelings, right? This was huge. If they lost this game and now you're not 8-2 instead of 9-1, it's not over. But I think it's fair to have a little bit worse of a feeling, even though they played poorly enough to lose. If they didn't win and they played the same exact way, and we still saw pretty much 99% of that outcome because the only thing that would have changed was maybe that last drive, we'd have a totally different tone. As we should shift gears, though, because why do you win in this league? Or what puts you in the best position possible to win in this league? An MVP quarterback. The year they won the Super Bowl, what was Carson Wentz before he went down? It's not normal to have a Nick Foles shred up a Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. But why were they so good that year? Because their quarterback. And I thought the way he used his legs, you haven't seen it like that in a bit of time. The scramble, 20-plus yards, some designed runs for himself. And the fact that it's coming off of a game where in the game, I thought he was giving the ball to the running backs at times where he probably shouldn't. He wasn't reading and reacting as smoothly as he normally does. I just thought it was impressive for him to turn it around and say, yo, fellas, fourth quarter, we're down, we're on the road, we're not losing 2 in a row. I don't care that A.J. Brown just made a mistake. We're here to support him. We're here to have his back. We all sometimes fail. We need our brothers to help us. And the fact that the quarterback put his team on his back like that 1% difference than if they would have lost, right? As I'm saying, like they played a very similar game. If they would have lost hypothetically, that missing piece from Jalen Hurts, that's a big deal. What we would have not seen, that's a big deal. Because you win in this league because of those guys. How many times do you watch Pat Mahomes and go, holy shit, this guy makes no sense? It's different because he's Pat Mahomes. But that happens. When you're not as emotionally connected to a team and you're just watching an NFL football game and these quarterbacks make special plays or off script where, things break down, you have to take advantage of a coverage, a mistake, an open sea parting. Good quarterbacks do it. Good quarterbacks do it. All right, anytime hotline, your reactions. My reaction to your reaction. Let's kick things off here. I'm excited for this. There's a lot happening, right? I mean, there's a lot happening. There's a lot to unpack here. Defense, awesome. Jonathan Gannon, awesome. I don't give him a lot of credit. Normally, I'm just saying, I don't really believe in him deep down. I have my concerns on Jonathan Gannon, but he didn't just do well. This offense sucked. They had no business of even having a chance. That's how pathetic it was. With the penalties, with just weird decision-making, weird personnel, odd formations, players not playing. I didn't get it. I had zero knowledge on what the hell they went through during the week to put their game plan together. I didn't see a lick of what they were trying to do. But holding them to field goals, forcing punts, even when it got tough and got sticky. To keep it a 6-point game after allowing a 31-yard gain, after allowing a 3rd and long with Darius Slay in coverage. They still did it. He was even better than I could have ever imagined. I didn't think the run defense was going to be as much of a problem because how he addressed it. And they all stated it heading into the week. Jonathan Gannon answered questions by the media to the public. He's literally saying, this can't happen. Howie made moves saying, this can't happen. Sirianni stated it. It can't happen. So I thought, because they were telling us exactly what we knew and what we saw, and the action supported the statements. By looking at Joseph, by looking at Sue, who played such a huge part in this, I kind of figured that would get settled in. I didn't expect the first drive to look that way, but after that, they were sensational. So a lot of credit, a lot of credit goes to JG. All right, anytime hotline. Here we go.
Well, the Eagles were challenged this week. What are you made of? What kind of team are you, losing in an embarrassing fashion to Washington? And while it wasn't pretty, they answered a lot of questions today. Jonathan Gannon, and I'm not going to, totally ostracize him from this game as far as coaching, but, hey, the defense stepped up. He did blitz a little. And Linval, Joseph, and Ndamukong Suh did make a difference. The team overcame penalties, overcame injuries, overcame strange play calls at critical times, but they found a way to win. And the Giants lose, and now you sit back and watch the Vikings and Cowboys eliminate each other. It's a good day all around. I hope that Gannon doesn't fall back into bad habits next week. I want to see this defense continue to be aggressive, and hopefully they can continue to stop the run a little bit better.
Well, I do know deep down that Jonathan Gannon is going to fall into that laid-back style of defense because that's what he preaches and that's what he loves. So I know each week we try and convince ourselves after he puts together a strong performance that I hope he buys into this and I hope he sees what it does. But there's always going to be a time where he falls back to the true colors of Jonathan Gannon, and there's nothing that we can do about it because at this point there's enough of a sample size to know that he loves it. He loves it. For whatever reason, he loves it. When he's forced to be uncomfortable, that's when Jonathan Gannon does best. When he's forced to do things that he doesn't really love, but he gets the results he's looking for, that's when he does better. But when you are who you are, that's inevitably going to come. You could pretend like your personality is your personality. You could fake it for a little bit of time that you're not you. But eventually, you're you. For whatever that's worth. Now, you touched on the Cowboys are up 20-3 right now in the second quarter. I have it on next to me here, but clearly not paying too much attention as we're recording the post-game pod. The best thing for us would be the Cowboys to win. I know it's weird. I know it's strange. I know we don't like to say that. I know it makes us nauseous. But because of where the Vikings are, and I know the Eagles handle business on Monday Night Football early in the season against Minnesota, but you want as much cushion as you can get right now for that home game and, for that one seed and how important that is to a possible run. So you never want to see division opponents win. Giants did their thing, which was nice. Giants kind of being the Giants a bit. We knew that their record was a bit faulty. They didn't really pass the smell test with that record as they lost earlier to the Lions. You know what? That line told me something. The Giants were at home favored by 3 points, which is your basic set. If you see -3, +3, that's just very, very average. That's as standard as you can get for a line. Against the Lions, a 7-2 football team against the Lions, who were at home playing in their own barn, was set at -3? You're damn right I took those Lions, and you're damn right I made some fat cash off of it too. I knew that Vegas was telling me something there, so I took advantage. But yeah, anyway, ultimately, with Gannon, he deserves a big round of applause today. Sirianni and Steichen, I'm just baffled. I thought you were better than this. I thought you were football smart. I have some nitpicky things on Sirianni that I know people aren't going to like. I guess I won't go too much into detail about it, but I think at times my man's got to act a little bit more professional. Standing up on the stands afterwards, screaming at people. Just the way he approaches things. I don't know. I don't care one bit about Frank Reich. Like, I don't want to hear about Frank Reich when the game's over and how emotional you are about Frank Reich. And I don't care about what you think about what the Colts did. I don't care. I want answers on this football team. I want answers on how we can get better. This is who he is, though, and his press conferences are his press conferences. Nothing's going to change. Gannon has his beliefs deep down, and when it comes to the press conferences for Sirianni, this is Sirianni. He's not going to change. But, screaming F you and looking at other people across the side. At one point, I was like, okay, I like it. It fires me up. Another point, I'm like, I can live without it. But if you win football games, that's all that matters. I'm just saying, it doesn't work as well when you lose. That's all. You can get by and do whatever you want to do when you win. And I think he's a very smart football guy. I think Sirianni's a very smart football guy. That's why I'm lost with how they were this lost. But the antics, doesn't really tickle my fancy. What's next?
Hey, bros. Real happy about the Eagles' victory today. We're going to be in for a nice ride here in the second half of the season. I think we're going to be in for some tight games. I'm happy to see Jalen Hurts check off another question mark. and really take this team on his back and be able to lead this team to victory, a comeback victory in the fourth quarter. That was a question I had based on last week. But he proved he answered everything today, and there's no more questions about that. The only question I have about this team is the identity of this team. You know, are we a run team that then goes to the play option, or are we a pass first team that then uses the run behind that? And I was wondering, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because it just doesn't seem like this team really has an identity to it.
Well, I mean, they're 9-1, right? We don't have an identity. We're 9-1. How you win in the NFL, in theory, is you pass the football, and then you have a really good run game that helps balance that out when you're up double digits and you're in the third quarter. Or this is why you saw the graphic on the screen today about the second half or the second quarter points. They're able to put teams away early, and then from there you can run the ball out, have 6-minute drives, 7-minute drives, whether you punch it in or kick a field goal, and then you let the other team do whatever they want, but they can eat up a lot of clock. You're up so many points that even if they take 7 minutes off the clock to put 7 points on the board, but you're up 22, well, then it doesn't really matter, because when you pile on a drive just as strong as that, now that's 13 minutes of clock that has ticked off in the second half, and if you kick a field goal and they score a touchdown, they made up 4-point difference when you're up 20. So in this league, the thing is, look, this is why they're scary. I think it depends on that certain game and they can do either or, which is why they're a threat. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. And when Dallas Goedert is healthy, a blocking tight end that caliber is ridiculous. He's also a threat in the pass game. But I mean, I'm in this era of football, passing the football is by far superior. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith. When Goddard's healthy, that's who you got. Even so, Miles Sanders in the passing game was a huge part to one of their drives because he slipped behind defenders. They take an obvious pass interference call because they didn't want him to catch the football and possibly score from there, so they kind of just took it, and then from there the Eagles made their magic work. But you need the passing game. You could do both, though. There's nothing wrong with leaning on your run game and leaning on what your quarterback does well, because he not only throws the ball well, but he also uses his legs well. They have an offense that can do either or, depending on the drive you need. We've seen them put together long, sustained drives with the run game, with the options, with throws in the mix too. We've seen them hit home run passes. We've seen them utilize more of a mid-range game, if you will, with A.J. Brown getting the ball in his hands and Devontae. We've seen it all. So it's like they're able to do it all. They got to clean things up. But, I mean, I can't say they don't have an identity. They definitely have an identity. Today was ugly. Their offense stunk today. But in totality, and when healthy, you want to pass the football, and then your run game helps finish off the clock. And that's when you get your balance. When you get your 50-50 balance you're looking for, by the end of it, all the old school heads, I want 50-50. Yeah, you saw some of those run plays, didn't you? They got pinned. Let's go back to the notepad in game, because they got pinned inside their 5. Let's see where we're at here. Oh, we're back at the first half. Then they get pinned inside their 5 at one point. Let me see if I can find it. Defense major stop. Eagles pinned inside 5. I want to see if I can find the actual play-by-play. It looks like that was the third quarter. Just so, because I'm pretty sure that was a sequence. Oh, man, I'm on the Giants right now. I don't care about the Giants. All right, here we go. This is third down, 3 plays. This had to have been it. Miles Sanders goes to the Philly 10 for 5 yards. 1st and 10 at Philly 5. They ran it with Sanders to the left side. They ran it up the middle for 3 yards, and Sanders went to the right side for no gain, and then they punted. So 3 and out, 8 yards for 1:35 off the clock when they were pinned into their 5. I'm just saying, for the people like, oh, run it, always run it, we got to run it. Well, no. You pass, and then your run game evens out the 50-50 distribution, if you will, after you kick some ass in the passing game to score more of your points. But the Eagles can do it, and they can rely on it throughout the middle of the game when needed too. It doesn't just evaporate and poof, it's gone. You need both, but they can do both. I think maybe without Dallas Goedert, they have to rebrand their identity because I don't know what they're doing with 12 personnel, 13 personnel compared to 11 personnel. You know, I think that's fair. But in general, I mean, come on. They've dominated a lot of teams and scored pretty damn easily throughout a lot of these games to kick some ass. I think they're going through adversity, but so are the Bills. So are other teams. Minnesota's getting their asses kicked right now. Now, who knows what the end of the game's going to be. But there's a difference between handling adversity, each week being hard, and this team having no idea. I think that's just a little bit extreme. I guess we'll wrap things up here. I want to thank you guys all for hanging out tonight. I'm going to try and fix my stand for my microphone. Unless this sounded better, I have no idea. I don't know. I like to scream. I don't know if you know that or not. I'll ask you guys in the chat before I end the live stream here. Did it sound better because it's actually closer to my face, or is my obnoxious screaming and loudness maybe making your eardrums pop? Because I think both is possible. In my ears, it sounds pretty good, but it's about you, the people. No one cares about me. Jack says, damn it, he didn't listen to my call. I got a bunch of calls, man. There's a lot of calls that are flown into the Anytime hotline. So I have all of them here on my desktop still. And I know I say this a lot, but I try to throughout the week still use them in the shows. So if you didn't hear it, then maybe we get to it throughout the week. Maybe not, though. No promises. I don't know. Mike sounds good? Cool. Appreciate it. All right, guys, you're the best. I love you. I really do. We'll be talking soon. Go Birds.